My name is Bud Lamb, and I work with men and younger pastors across the United States.
Why are you ministering in that way?
And the reason I minister to men and younger pastors is, number one, I am a man, and I know all the stuff that men struggle with. I know the deepest secrets that they're afraid to tell anybody. I know that the fact that they stall out and drift. I know that they have hopes and dreams that often are unfulfilled. And I know mostly that most men live quiet lives of desperation. They don't have friendships or people that they can trust in their lives. And so I find that men respond when they hear part of my story and how I arrived at where I arrived, that they will risk and they'll be willing to disclose, and then the gospel come into their heart, and life change can begin to happen.
Could you share a specific story from your ministry that just really that you'll never forget, that really stands out to you?
I have a friend who was the church planter, and he started at the church 3 years ago, he and his wife, and the church has grown. I mean, they're probably averaging a consistent 300 people in just a short period of time. And he called me a few days before Easter, and he said, something has to change. I can't continue this way. And in the process of him explaining what the kind of change it was not the mechanics of leading and growing a church. It was internally, how he was handling stuff, what he was choosing to be busier than he could sustain. He created this, and he needed to change his fundamental approach to faith and practice. And so he and I started a book study using a book called Leading on Empty, which is written for pastors that have hit this place. And so I used that book on myself, 10 years ago. And so this guy and I are now working through that. And probably the coolest story I have even around this guy is we scheduled a time. He's on the East Coast, so there's a 3-hour time difference. And my only block of availability on his day that he was available was during his staff meeting. And he steps out of his staff meeting for a half-hour phone call with me every week. That communicates tons to his staff, and it communicates tons to himself that this is important, and that is where I'm going to use my time. And so here he is letting go of stuff in his church, which is what he needs to do. And so that's a cool one. Another one is a fellow missionary got a hold of me with regards to a son that he has. The son is going through a divorce and is having an addiction to pornography. And I'm familiar with both of those. I've been divorced, and I understand, the stuff that men struggle with. And this guy lives in a remote community that's about 400 people, about an hour away from a big city. And he linked me up with his son, and his son and I talk at 6:30 on Thursday mornings as he's driving to work. And today was the day we did it. And to be able to take a look at what my local is primarily relationally driven. Now here in Corralitos, where I live, it's my local, but I find that local for me is primarily driven by relationships that can span the country.